Hey, welcome to today's edition of Bribed, Blackmailed or Blind. We're going to talk about Sir Keir Starmer, leader of the Labour Party, and until October the 7th, the runaway prospect for being the next Prime Minister of the UK. But what's he done in the meantime? The weird thing is, if you look up on Google latest news about Sir Keir Starmer's stance on Israel, the latest thing you can find is a rehashed article on Sky from a week ago. Everything else goes back to early November. In other words, he said, at least officially, as far as I can see, unless Google is wrong, absolutely fuck all about the Zionist genocide of Palestinians for close on 2 months. Now, internally, his flim-flammery is no doubt completely focused on trying to solve the fault lines that have emerged in the Labour Party. But for those of us who are just ordinary voters, all I can see is a bunch of whataboutism and playing both sides and both sides are evil and all of this kind of thing, as if there's an equivalence between the Zionists he so clearly supported as he worked to oust Jeremy Corbyn from the party, and the calls from his Muslim wing and others with any kind of moral compass to support an immediate ceasefire and a resolution of this problem. And it's not only pathetic, but it throws the whole governance of the UK into question, because suddenly those of us with a moral heart, those of us who can see what's going on in the ethnic cleansing of Palestine, have got nobody credible to vote for except, and I make this exception, the Green Party, who have been clear in their stance on this, or some kind of revival of Jeremy Corbyn or people like him who have a clear moral stance. And this is the trouble with most politicians. They try and walk a fine line between the politics, the polls, the focus groups, what their heart is telling them, what history is telling them, what the propagandists are telling him. So here he is as a key participant in what was clearly, very clearly, an Israeli Zionist plot to get rid of Jeremy Corbyn by labeling him anti-Semitic. And if you look at my one of my last videos about the use of anti-Semitic as a condemnation of somebody, you'll understand that what really happened there was not that the Labour Party or Jeremy Corbyn was any more anti-Semitic than anyone else, but that he posed a threat to Israel because of his support for Palestine, and so they mobilized their propaganda arm against him and got him ousted from the Labour Party and replaced by a far more compliant, more easily manipulated man, because his moral compass is flapping around as if it's surrounded by other compasses, because it clearly is. So Sir Keir Starmer is currently shutting the fuck up because he doesn't know what to say. He doesn't know because he wants to be guided by the polls, his chances of election, the factions in his party, instead of being guided by his heart. What he doesn't realize is that for many voters, what we want is a clear leadership based on morals, based on values, based on principles that can't be shaken, instead of principles that are as movable as a tiny boat on a rough ocean. And that's what Keir Starmer is. Flim-flam, jump around, stay quiet, don't fucking say anything in case what you say alienates this faction or that faction. Instead of looking clearly and saying, what I see here is an ethnic cleansing, colonial genocide of a people that don't deserve it, and I'm going to stand up against that. I'm going to take the moral stance and see what happens in terms of its impact on the Labour Party, because its principles were abandoned years ago under Tony Blair. Corbyn tried to bring them back, but you know what happened to him. So, Sir Keir Starmer, are you bribed, blackmailed, or blind? And again, as leader of the opposition, you must have access to information that means that you can't possibly be blind. So, find your moral center, reawaken your values, find some fucking principles and tell us where you stand properly and fully on this. Because if it isn't behind the Palestinians and their freedom, most of us with a moral compass and principles are going to have to find somebody else to vote for. And with a bit of luck, your political flimflammery will be a footnote in history and you will never be Prime Minister. Yeah. Have you been bribed, blackmailed, or are you blind? That's the question you need to answer for us fucking quickly. Or retire and go off and do something else.